Now, good for him. He'll still make millions upon millions of dollars to not do anything. Along with the coach being gone, they're changing quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo to the bench. Aidan O'Connell starting. They said he gives them the best chance to win. Wild. Again, I said this yesterday, and I meant it when I said it. James Jones, nobody more expert to talk about the Raiders right now on national television than you. Former Las Vegas Raider. You also currently do pregame, postgame shows every game for the Raiders. You're in Las Vegas weekly. You know it all. We do not know enough. Educate me. Do you expect the Raiders to turn it around?
I do. I'm excited for Antonio Pierce to get this thing rolling. It's a newfound energy in that building, and it had to come. And I'm glad Mark Davis made the change at this time when he really had to make the change, because you have the Giants and you have the Jets coming up on your schedule. Both games at the crib, right? Both games that are winnable games for an interim head coach and Antonio Pierce. Instead of saying, look, we're going to hold off a little bit longer, give Josh McDaniels a couple more weeks, and then you got to play the Chiefs and the Dolphins, which would be really tough games to win. So I'm excited that they made the change when they had to make the change, but this is what this organization needed. They did not believe in Coach McDaniels anymore. You bring a guy in, Antonio Pierce, who really is a player's coach. They love Antonio Pierce in that building. Offensive players, defensive players, they love him in that building. And it's a newfound energy. You are going to see a different Raiders team by the style of play this Sunday, I promise you, with Antonio Pierce being the interim head coach. I'm excited for him. I'm ready to go. And they absolutely can turn this thing around.
I agree with you for the rest of the season. We saw Rich Bisaccia go in there. He went 7-5. After John Gruden got let go. But, James, for the Raiders to turn it around organizationally in the future, they got to get lucky. I'll be honest with you. Got to get lucky. Now, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. It's what they say. Raiders got to get lucky. Because for the Raiders to truly turn this around, you need a great coach and you need a generational quarterback. How you going to find them both? If the Raiders get hot the rest of the season, and even if they finish, James, winning 3 or 4 of the next several games, they're not drafting in the top 5. And unless the Raiders absolutely suck the rest of the season, can you guarantee they're drafting in the top 5? Currently drafting at 8. 5 of the teams ahead of them all need or would really, really want quarterbacks. But I didn't say just a quarterback. I said a generational quarterback. I said a Joe Burrow type. I didn't just say a coach. I said a great coach. I'm talking a Doug Peterson type. And you need both a generational quarterback and a great coach. And I just don't know that the Raiders are that talented. I think, Joy, for them to turn it around, they got to get lucky. What do you expect?
I think they can turn it around, but I agree with you. They need both. I mean, what's the first step, right? You got to win the division. Who's in your division?
Chiefs.
Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. Who else is in the division?
Chargers.
No, that's it. This is
Broncos.
Justin Herbert.
No, that's the Chiefs.
Sure, but I'm saying you got to beat Sean Payton. You know, Russell Wilson is improving. You know what you have in the division. So just looking around the division, I would agree with you. Yes, you need more than just a coach. You need a generational quarterback because you got a all-timer in the division already in Patrick Mahomes, all questions, and at the coaching position with the Chiefs. I think they can. And the reason I think they can is because we've seen this happen, and we've seen it happen recently. I think the Bengals and the Dolphins are good examples of that. I know the Dolphins very well. I love this team. I've had some years of dysfunction. It's been a little rough. Been going through a couple coaches. And I've had some turnover. They didn't even want Tua there. They're trying to replace Tua for the first 2 years. So, and now it looks right. Same thing with the Bengals. The Bengals were bad for forever. Just constant disappointment. Now you have a generational quarterback in Joe Burrow, and you've played in a Super Bowl. So it can happen. It just requires you getting the right person in the building. And for the last 20 years, you've essentially been the Browns. So you've got to find a way to correct it. You've got to find a way to establish a new culture, a new vision, and a vision that lasts for the future. So you just got to find that guy. And look, that guy's hard to find. It's not like I'm saying, oh, like it's just an easy thing to do. But it's possible, and you got to figure out whatever you've been doing isn't working. So course correct and find the person.
Real quick, is Derek Carr a generational quarterback?
Sir.
All right, the only reason why I say that is because I believe that if Antonio Pierce can get this thing rolling, I would love for the Raiders to have a defensive-minded head coach, because that has been their backbone for a very long time, the bottom of the tier in defense. The last guy that was a defensive-minded head coach was Jack Del Rio. a defensive-minded head coach, right? Won 11, 12 games, went to the playoffs. I would love to see them get a defensive-minded head coach. I don't necessarily think to turn something around, you need a generational-type quarterback. We talking about being able, I know everybody starts with the division, but we talking about being able to punch your ticket consistently in the playoffs to give yourself a chance. We all know once you get to the playoffs, you might not even have to see the Chiefs. Joe Burrow might beat the Chiefs. You know, Josh Allen might beat the Chiefs. You might not even have to see them. You just got to punch your ticket. They just need to make sure that they can consistently put a very good product out there to be able to have their organization in position to make the playoffs consistently.
Well, I'll say this. I think they have a chance to turn things around, right? I love the new hire with Antonio Pierce. I played against him. Smart dude, very physical. And I listened to his press conference and things he talked about. And he said, I'm a former player, right? That I'm engaged with other former players, right? And I'm engaged with players active on my team and other teams. And he said, and I'm a Raider fan. Like, I really die and love this Raider team. Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's one thing that's said, but it's another thing that really actually mean it. And it's inside even. And I feel like we need more player coaches for these reasons. Because sometimes you can't really relate to the coach, right? He sees it one way, he sees it the other way. He didn't step inside them cleats. He don't know how it feel to be in them shoes. So I feel like a coach like that, he knows. He knows the talent they got on that team. They got some talented players on that team, right? It's a matter of getting that quarterback. Now, the tricky thing is, I'm trying to think. Now, also, he did talk about the NWA. He got me going. They said today in the locker room, we had all NWA stuff playing.
That's it.
They turned that whole thing around like it used to be with all the hype and playing up there. What's the old stadium they had?
Was it Coliseum?
But no one at Coliseum. Was it Coliseum?
Allegiant?
No, you talking about in Oakland?
In Oakland, yeah.
Oakland Coliseum?
Yeah, you played there before?
Come on, I played there on the baseball diamond.
That thing is live.
Yeah.
And they need a coach like that to bring it back live in Vegas. The tricky thing is, if he does take over next year, right? Hopefully they play well enough and he takes over. The hard part is like, okay, how do we get that quarterback? Because if I win too many games, I can't get that top quarterback that I want.
Correct.
And I don't know what's the market going to look like next year in free agency.
You don't win too many games, you ain't getting no top quarterback.
That's why it's hard.
Dude.
But I will say this, though. If he shows some fight and he shows some change, I think giving that coach a 3 to 4 year window to get things.
They don't do that, Shady.
Well, I'm talking about a contract.
Okay.
Right now, maybe the first 2 years, show me what you got. He got a lot in him, man. I'm praying from hope.
But to be honest with you, no coach is getting that quarterback. The Raiders are good. Antonio Pierce going to win a couple more games this season. Ain't no coach coming in there if they don't keep Antonio Pierce getting a top quarterback in the draft. You're going to have to get somebody in free agents. Are you going to have to really like what you see from O'Connell to be able to say we're going to keep him?
Not respectfully, but no, Okay,
you
talking about Justin Herbert, who I don't love, but Justin Herbert. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes. You're talking about a Hall of Famer fringe and Russell Wilson.
With you.
Like, you don't speak Aidan O'Connell if you're trying to be competitive, James.
We try.
Free agents.
Here's what I would agree with.
There's a lot of teams with quarterbacks ain't good. That's competitive right now.
Like the Niners.
You got to start.
Like the Niners for years.
You got to start building somewhere.
Hold on, though. The Niners, to Kyle Shanahan's credit, because I don't mind a defensive coach, but the trick you run into with having a defensive coach is you've got to have a generational quarterback because your offensive coordinator is not going to stay there. You're going to stay there. So you got to have that's why Josh Allen works, because he's a generational quarterback. If the offensive coordinator changes, you still have to be able to have that talent. I think Kyle Shanahan is able to pull that off because the defense is so great, but he is able to maintain and elevate a lesser talented quarterback in that position and win games with them. I agree with James from this perspective. There's no culture with the Raiders. They have an unbelievable brand. They have an unbelievable fan base. They have this new launch in Las Vegas in this beautiful building. I love it. It's one of my favorite buildings in the whole NFL. Logistics nerd. It's very easy to get in and out of. It's beautiful. The point is, they got to start somewhere. Like, start establishing some identity. What do you do well? What can you do well? Yes, you might not get the generational quarterback next year, but how are you going to build this team? If you build it with a defensive identity, I don't hate that in a division with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. And Sean Payton. I don't hate that you're starting to build something until you get the guy. It's not that easy to just go out there and I would like a Patrick Mahomes, please. Where's the Patrick Mahomes store? It doesn't exist. So I don't mind establishing some sort of identity and culture, what you're talking about, bringing an energy to the team. When we can look at the Raiders and say what Dan Campbell has been able to do with the Lions. I wasn't sure what Dan Campbell was going to be able to do, but we saw, even though they were bad, that they had an identity.
But here's my thing, though.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Geno generational?
No.
They winning?
Yeah, but Pete Carroll's a Hall of Fame
Pickett.
coach.
Kenny Pickett generational?
No.
They winning?
Averagely.
Zach Wilson.
Are they're 500
Zach Wilson
team.
generational?
Nope.
They winning?
No, not in totality, James.
Dak Prescott generational?
Nope.
They winning?
Or Russ. Russ ain't generational.
Huh? Right? Kirk Cousins generational?
They're not winning.
Not this year. They was in the playoffs last year, though. Kirk wins.
Kirk has won one playoff game, James Jones.
Matt Ryan, he generational?
He won an MVP.
Is he generational, Acho?
I wouldn't say he's generational.
So,
he won an MVP.
But my only thing is you don't need a generational dude. You need to build a team, and that's why I'm saying this defense has been the bottom. Derek Carr has numbers to go up against the best of them.
He does.
You get what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
But the defense, right? This defense, since defensive mind, they have never really had a defensive-minded head coach to say, we finna stop people and draft some people.
Let me ask you this.
You have to build a team.
Let me ask you this, because I love that argument. Obviously, I'm the only person that played defense up here on the desk, so if anybody likes defense, I do. But when you are something, you're really good, hopefully, at self-examination and self-awareness. Name of the coaches. Talk to me about the great coaches in the NFL right now. How many are great defensive-minded and how many are offensive-minded? Sean McDermott.
But he has Josh Allen.
Sean McDermott.
Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin, but if we're being honest really with ourselves, Mike Tomlin, as of late, is a 500 head coach, which is great. He hasn't never had a losing season. But let's be real. You know better than me. When's the last time the Steelers won a playoff game?
Yes, but what James is talking about, but the Steelers are never down here. What James is talking about is building a team, building a culture. And Mike Tomlin wins because of that culture and what he's established.
Who was his quarterback? Who was his quarterback?
Ben Roethlisberger.
That's what I'm getting at.
He's still winning with lesser talent.
I don't think you need generational quarterback to win.
Break down why.
Like you keep saying Herbert. Like I mean, he got stats and
they're not winning.
I mean, so I'm saying, but
I think you need both. I think you need great coach, generational quarterback. I think you need the two.
So what about the Niners for all these years, last couple of years, other than this last year with Purdy? Like,
just think
what they got at quarterback. I don't even say what the quarterback is. What they got at quarterback. what is that you even call that? Jimmy G. You see how awful he looks right now. When he played with the Niners, people thought he was like good.
I did. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They bench him for a reason. Can't play. So what I'm saying is, I think you need culture. What Pierce has there, right? He's trying to bring there. I think you need a solid defense if you're not going to have a generational quarterback. And a guy like Derek Carr, I think if you have a Derek Carr and a solid defense with the Raiders, I mean, think about this for a second. They had the #1 running back last year. He led the league in rushing.
Yeah, they did.
And then Devontae Adams was what, like 14, 15 yards?
Yeah.
So you got pieces.
Crazy.
Matt Crosby, I mean, you can have a better pass rusher than him. So they have enough pieces. I don't think you need a generational quarterback to actually win and compete in that division. That division ain't super hard.
Well, we're also convoluting two things.
The Chiefs are the main team.
Winning or competing. Because right now the Raiders are barely competing.
But you still can go to the playoffs if you don't win. The goal is always to win your division.
Yeah,
you still go to the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. Build a team to where you can get into.
And the Chiefs, I mean, they're a great team, but in that division, anybody can lose. They lost to the
Broncos last year.
Yeah, anything's possible. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm trying to say.
Defensively, for me, you got to start somewhere. It is not easy to find a generational quarterback.
Of course.
You got what I'm saying?
It's like 3 of them right now.
But it's easy to look at these dudes in free agency and say, give me Jalen Ramsey or give me Darrell. Like, it's easy to build a team like that.
They did that. You know that you were there better than
the defensive side of the ball.
They went and got Chandler Jones, who has the record in franchise history for the Arizona Cardinals, and 8th for the Patriots. They said, okay, Chandler, we're going to team you up with Max.
Acho.
No, but he got wicked. He had a lot of wicked going. He got a lot of wild stuff going.
I work for the Raiders.
He's a good player.
All right. It is a lot of holes on that defense. Linebackers, safeties, corners, right? You have Max Crosby. Chandler ain't even there now, right? The young rookie Wilson, they waiting for him to come along. You get what I'm saying? So it's holes in that defense to where Antonio Pierce knows exactly what they need. Right. He's been in that building for the last 2 years, right? This defense has a big-time playmaker in Max Crosby they can build around, right? They have some solid young players over there on that defense. If they can build this defense up without even finding a generational quarterback, even if they go out in free agency and say, Kirk Cousins, come on. All right, after you that's a quarterback that can go out here and win some games, but they have a big time. You have to start somewhere. It is hard to find that generational quarterback. But while you're looking for him, build that defense and be able to have some playmakers on offense like they got.
In the last 20 years, they haven't finished in the top half of the NFL in scoring defense once.
I work for the Raiders.
I just wanted to throw it on.
You know what I'm saying?
It was a little cherry on top. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.